When Ethan Miller asked me to stay, his voice didn't sound desperate or dramatic. It sounded tired, like someone who had been carrying something heavy for too long and finally needed another person in the room. "Just stay," he said quietly. "You don't have to do anything. I just don't want to be alone tonight." I stood at the doorway of his living room, my hand still resting on the doorknob. I had already put my coat on. I had already decided I was leaving. And yet, something in his words made me pause, not curiosity, not attraction, but concern. "I can stay for a bit," I replied carefully. "But only if you're okay with that." Ethan nodded. "That's all I'm asking." I took off my coat and sat on the opposite end of the couch. The room felt unusually quiet, except for the faint hum of the television. A documentary played on the screen, something about restoring old houses. Neither of us was really watching it. My name is Lena Carter, and at that moment, I believed I understood exactly why I was there. Ethan was my longtime friend and coworker. We'd known each other for years, always respectful, always supportive, never crossing lines. He had recently gone through a difficult separation, and tonight was one of those nights when silence felt heavier than words. He didn't ask me to talk. He didn't ask me to comfort him. He just wanted someone to sit beside him while life continued on the screen. Minutes passed. Then an hour. At some point, Ethan spoke again. "Do you ever notice how peaceful it is to just watch something without needing to comment on it?" I smiled faintly. "Yeah. It reminds you that not everything needs a reaction." "That's why I asked you to stay," he admitted. "You don't pressure people to fix things." His honesty made me shift slightly. "You didn't need a reason. Friends do this." He nodded, eyes still on the screen. "I know. I just didn't want it misunderstood." That sentence lingered longer than he probably intended. As the evening stretched on, the documentary ended and another began. Old houses turned into stories about human resilience. About patience. About time. Watching quietly together became symbolic. Two people sitting in a space where nothing inappropriate existed, only shared stillness. Ethan leaned forward at one point, elbows on his knees. "I used to think being strong meant never needing anyone. And now?" I asked. "Now I think strength is knowing who you can sit beside without feeling judged." I didn't respond right away. Because he was right. There was no tension. No hidden intention. Just understanding. I stayed that night, not because he asked, but because it felt right. I slept on the guest couch, left early the next morning, and thought that would be the end of it. It wasn't. Over the next few weeks, Ethan and I began spending more time together, but always within boundaries. Coffee after work. Walks during lunch breaks. Movie nights where watching meant exactly that, observing stories that weren't ours. People at work noticed the change. "You two seem closer," a colleague joked one afternoon. "Just friends," Ethan replied before I could speak. And he said it without hesitation. That mattered. One evening, while watching another documentary, this one about people rebuilding their lives after loss, Ethan finally turned to me. "I want to say something," he said carefully. "And I want to say it the right way." I muted the television. "I never asked you to stay because I wanted anything from you," he continued. "I asked because I needed to learn how to sit with my emotions instead of running from them. And you showed me how." My chest tightened, not with fear, but gratitude. "I'm glad I could help," I said. He smiled. "You did more than help. You reminded me that connection doesn't always mean romance. Sometimes it just means presence. That night, when I left, I felt lighter. Months later, Ethan found peace in his own life. I found clarity in mine. Our friendship remained strong, not complicated, not hidden, not misunderstood. And sometimes, when life feels loud again, I remember that night. When he asked me to stay. Just to watch. And how that simple request changed the way I understood trust, boundaries, and quiet support forever.